Hey, good evening, guys. KB5 MIQ Big Boy. Come here a second, Indy. Come here. All right, come here. Everybody needs to see you, girl. She's mad at me. I just stepped on her. She's black. She hides in the dark, and she gets stepped on some. So that's part of it. Guys, we're going to talk a little bit tonight about the, let me see if this mic's working. Yep. About the memo that's going around about the FCC, delete. Uh, completely. Chris, one of the long-time listeners, buddy of mine, long-time supporter of the channel, sent me this earlier in the week, and I've done a little research on it a little bit. We're going to talk about that here tonight. But I got one thing, some good news to share with y'all. I want to show you something. Everybody, I've moved shacks. I've rearranged everything. Everybody remembers my shack gadget there. Ken Anderson, K1ENT make that for me. Made one for Jeff. And now he's gone into business of making them and selling them. And I'm going to have a link in the description of this video to his website, Broken Circuit Ranck. Super nice guy. Very knowledgeable. He's got several other pieces of gear on there for sale. So y'all check him out. And wish Kent the best with this new endeavor. I know he'll be good at it. And I sure enjoyed my shack gadget. I think he calls it something else on the channel. I think it's called YouTube Counter Clock, but I call it my shack gadget. Anyway, thanks, Kent. Hope this works out for you good, buddy. Let's talk a little bit about this FCC delete memo going around. Now, I may ruffle some feathers. I'd hope this don't turn into a grounding lightning protection type thing again, but I read the thing. Nowhere in it mentioned amateur radio. And amateur radio is just probably a little blip on the FCC's total things they have to keep up with anyway. I've watched two other YouTubers on it. Watched one, a bigger YouTube guy. Not going to call their names out. He had a pretty good take on it. And watched another female YouTuber. And kind of got the impression she wasn't happy with this administration anyway. She was trying to give everybody a civics lesson, saying they can't do this, they can't do that. I'm not even getting into that. Read some of the comments from both of them. Well, come on up here, Head. Read some of the comments from both of them, and I've read some comments on some social media stuff. And a lot of the comments I'm hearing are maybe not necessary for the whole of ham radio. A lot of individual requests that would more to help a certain group of people. Well, before I get into this, let me give you a little bit of my background and why I'm going to base my opinion on this and what it is. I'm a retired federal employee, 37 years. I was what they call a wage grade. I was an automotive machinist, electrical systems mechanic, repairer, and I retired as a WST and auto machining supervisor. Worked with WD5HKV for 35 of the 37 years I was out there. Spent 23 years in the military in the reserves and retired out of that. My thinking on this goes back from working for the federal government under both parties. I'm not getting political on this. I don't do politics and ham radio. I haven't seen much difference in this approach in any other party. A lot of people may interfere or disagree with me on that. With this particular party in place now, they're taking a little more maybe aggressive approach to it. But a lot of it you got to remember, you got social media fielding all this stuff now that we didn't have in the 90s. All right. When the first big round of base closures hit. My rule of thumb, and this is based on what people in management has told me and high level commanders I've talked to and different military bases I've been on. If you work for an agency, a department, office in the government, and you do your job, your outfit does their job, does it right, and doesn't really get a lot of upper level feedback, doesn't do anything to cause any issues to come back, there's a better chance that you're probably not going to be messed with. If you see them doing a lot of construction on a base, worse sign. A lot of people think, "Oh, we're going to give us more work." No, they're not. They're going to. When they do a lot of construction or changes on a base or an installation, that means they're going to shut part of it down because they usually don't. They don't fix nothing up like for that for other reasons than to mothball it. And my rule of thumb with the government's kind of always been, especially in boot camp. I didn't really hold this when I got to be a civilian, but it's kind of the same way. You don't want to get on anybody's radar for either good or bad performance. Bad performance will get you on the radar quick. Super stellar performance will get you on the radar because the people doing the bad performance try to set you up, and the government, the big bosses, will overload you until you make a mistake, and then it comes down worse. Hope that makes sense. Now, Amber, how's this going to apply to FCC and ham radio? I hope it doesn't. We've got licensing as easy as it's ever been. And I see a lot of people say, well, maybe they'll do away with the license. We all just get on ham radio. You don't want that. Ham radio is not a plug and play. Ham radio, you have to have a little bit of basic knowledge to be able to be effective in it. And a lot of people may disagree with me on that. And if they say they can't got time to study for the license, if you want it, you can make time because it's easier now to get a ham license than it's ever been. All right. Well, they could do away with the power limitations, unlimited amps, do away with HOAs. I don't believe you're ever going to have anything to do with an HOA because that HOA don't have anything to do with ham radio. A lot of guys that live in them may disagree with me. But if you address an HOA and amateur radio, you're only going to be helping the ones that are. That's not for the good of ham radio, I don't think. And I may get shot down for that, but this is something. What I'm really worried about is the spectrum we have and who's going to be in charge of FCC and who's making these decisions. Because what I've seen the last 20 years I worked in the government, people who fill out honest resumes are the ones that usually don't get promoted. The people that are hiring these professional resume writers to make them look like they can walk on water and they get the job and they really can't, that's who I worry about being in charge of any decisions up in this area on this. Especially with social media and people, like I've said before, these outfits that are wanting our bands are keeping track of. I would surprise me if they're not keeping track of all this sad ham stuff you see on social media. Before social media, the only people who knew about sad hams was ham. Now they can go before the FCC's wanting to deregulate, maybe make cuts. Well, here's a bunch of money. We'll pay you for these bands and just eliminate this. That's what I'm worried about. Honestly, the FCC, they may cut some regulations on some other avenues that they're over, but I can't see messing with ham radio for the reasons stated. Licensing is too easy, and I don't know why the FCC would even bring ham radio up if they have to do any deregulation, because basically they're not doing anything now other than get $35 for us for license fees. That aggravated me. They won't send you a copy anymore of your license. You have to manipulate their archaic website to print it off. So all I hope out of this whole thing is that ham radio slides under the radar and stays as is. Because I can't see any changes they could make that would actually be good for ham radio. We've already had a run on us with the HF modernization movement, where they was wanting to do high-speed data transfer off the ends of some of the HF bands with very high wattages. They got that shot down. We need these bands. We need to keep this hobby alive. And there's also a lot of international agreements that hopefully will keep them from messing too much with amateur radio in this. A lot of people live on drama these days. That's one of Jeff's favorite sayings. And a lot of people are interested in what's it going to do for me versus what can it do for the betterment of ham radio as a whole. And that's what we need to be looking at. We need to be promoting this to young people any way we can. And it's hard to compete with a cell phone. It really is. Because ham radio's not plug and play, cell phones are. I just watched my wife update my phone the other day. I got a new phone, 20 minutes, it was done. She pushed, hey, this is one of our boy cats. This is Finn. He's a little more friendlier one. Him and Indy don't get along too good. But yeah, with the cell phones being some plug and play and instant gratification is what this world's about, we need to promote the tech side of ham radio and get some youth interested in this hobby. We don't need to, if you done anything, contact your congressman, get on the FCC's open thing. They've got this where you can put input on and say, leave ham radio as is. That's my opinion. I know a lot of people think they want to get their license. It's too easy now to get a license. I mean, I'm thoroughly happy with our current licensing system we've got. If you really want into this, you can get into it. I hope this makes sense because I'm seeing a whole lot of crazy comments about it. And one time I wish that ham radio slides under the radar and comes through this as is, just like we are, would be better for it. Guys, I'm going to have a link to Kent's website on here. Y'all remember Main Trading Company in Paris? They got all kinds of used gear going on up there, plus his new gear stuff. Got some good place to do business with. Yep, let me get my remote here. We hit 1,832 subscribers. Can't thank y'all enough. We hit 2,000, we'll give something away. I appreciate y'all like and listen to me and these cats. It's KB5 MIQ Big Boy 73.